go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we do have a quorum here. All three commissioners are present, and at this time, Commissioner Jackson, would you like to lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of February 27th, 2017.
Second?
Okay, a motion is made and second to approve the February 27th, 2017 meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed. Public comment. Scott Crossfield.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and just want to make aware, I have had a chance to
Your
talk
name?
to, Scott Crossfield,
Your
sorry.
address?
241 Foster Creek Road. But I did have a chance to talk to Mr. Stamper and Ms. Napier, so to help kind of work towards this. But I just wanted to address the commission just to explain a situation that I've had in my life here for the last 5 years. So I live at 241 Foster Creek Road, and that's about 1 mile north of GC's truck stop, overlooking the Cowlitz River Valley. I bought my house here in May of 2012 as I was retiring from the Army after 30 years of service. Previously, I had lived and worked in Lewis County and remembered its beauty and rural feel. Having to leave the Army because of numerous health issues, including PTSD, I was looking for a place in nature that was peaceful and serene to help in my healing. I also have an adult son with mental illness who needs peace and calm as well. It was after much prayer and searching, I found a house that overlooked the beautiful Cowlitz River Valley. It was everything I was looking for. Just to be sure, I researched online and found the land around me and in the valley below was zoned agricultural. Having grown up on a farm, that was a great fit, and I look forward to being a good neighbor and citizen while I served in a local church as a pastoral counselor, caring for the mental health needs of our community. A few months after moving in, I was surprised to see construction in the Christmas tree farm below our house at 451 Mandy Road. I did not think much about it until it grew into a huge gravel pit. When I asked my neighbors what was happening, they were as shocked as I. Apparently, a new buyer was utilizing an old permit from 1994 for a pond to develop a full-blown gravel pit. And I guess it was permitted by the DNR at the time. Overnight, our lives had changed for the worse. Since I was busy in transition, I did not get too involved, but talked to my neighbors to find out the legality of the pit and what our rights were. In June of 2014, one of my neighbors went by the pit and saw a sign posted about a public hearing concerning the pit for the next day. The owner, Lemmy Rockford, was trying to get the land rezoned from agricultural to mining. None of the adjacent landowners had been notified of the hearing. We put the word out, and at the hearing, over 20 neighbors showed up at the Planning Commission to share our concerns. The Planning Commission graciously heard our concerns and said they would research them. That was almost 3 years ago. Just recently speaking to Ms. Napier, she did explain that that's on hold because of an issue with the DNR. The last 5 years living next to the pit has been miserable. The noise of the rock crusher sounds like a locomotive next door, next to our house that never leaves. The countless trucks with their never-ending beep, 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 and their safety backup warning pierces through the walls of our house. Sometimes I go to sleep hearing those sounds in my head. Almost every day I feel assaulted in my own home with no end in sight. I have tried to resolve this on my own. A few years back, I spoke to the owner to ask how long the pit would be in operation. He said his plans were to buy up the rest of the valley and expand the pit, so I better get used to it. Last year, after waking up to nightmares at 6:30 in the morning and the sound of his beeping trucks, I called the owner again and pleaded with him to not start so early. His answer was they had a contract to fill and they were going to do whatever they had to do to fill it. The only option he has given for me to work with him is to buy him out for $6 million. That is the extent of his compassion and the type of neighbor that he is.
Excuse me, Mr. Crossfield, we got 3 minutes on this, so could
Okay.
you wrap this up there? And then we'll take all the written testimony and
Okay.
we can gather from there, and I know that we'll have more conversation.
I'll go ahead and wrap up. The last bit was just to, I'm not sure if folks were aware of that situation, but myself and the neighbors around that gravel pit live with this every day. And what I was asking for the commission was, and I got a few answers already, but who is responsible in oversight? And it sounds like the county says the DNR says the county, and basically Lemmy Rockford's working without any oversight whatsoever as far as operating hours, dust. Southwest Washington Clean Air has worked with me when they have burn pits and the smoke blows into my house. So, but that concludes it. I just wanted to make you aware of the reality of my neighbors and I, and I'd like to talk with you afterwards and see where we can go.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Do you want to leave your
Do
paper?
you want to leave the written part, or would you like to?
I could send you that.
Could we get copies of that afterwards, too? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. Harry, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Good.
Got about 2 inches of snow last night in Alaska.
Yeah, we're a little tired of the snow. We're all a little over that.
So my name is Harry Bagwanden. I live at 183 Shady Grove Road in Alaska, and I'm here today to encourage you to maybe one last-ditch effort support a couple of complementing tourism legislation that is stalled in Senate Ways and Means Committee today, and I wanted, if I could, take the time to read a letter that I wrote to Senator John Braun, and actually I wrote the same letter and I copied all of our legislators who sponsored the House Bill 1123 and Senate Bill 5251. So I'm asking that the Board of County Commissioners to, if you have not already, submit a letter or a phone call. I think it would make a big difference to the sponsors of these bills to promote tourism, because as you know, Lewis County would directly benefit from a renewed statewide tourism marketing program, and one of the primary goals of the legislation is to reach national and international travelers and get them to areas outside of the state, outside of the urban areas. So Lewis County, as you know, is well positioned for a vibrant tourism sector given its diverse and rich natural resource and cultural assets, close proximity to Seattle, Tacoma, and Portland international airports, and existing tourism infrastructure throughout the county. Tourism is the fourth largest industry in the state of Washington, and according to Dean Runyon, an annual impacts report, Washington State generates $1.8 billion in local state tax revenue and over 170,000 tourism-related jobs in the state. So in Lewis County alone, that's nearly $200 million in direct visitor spending and 2,300 jobs. That was in 2015. So the development of a rural tourism industry coordinates directly with the area economic development and tourism plans. For instance, the Lewis County Comp Plan, which is currently under its 5-year update, recognizes the importance of tourism and recreation as a strategy that protects the character of rural and urban areas. The Comp Plan details specific goals for utilizing tourism as an economic development vehicle to not only leverage Lewis County's rural character, but to help preserve it, creating more entrepreneurial opportunities for rural residents to develop the recreation and tourism potential of the area. So specifically, the plan directs the county to support efforts and organizations seeking ag diversity and sustainability through marketing, promotion, and agritourism. And so what I want to also do is present the board with this report that I just finalized for the USDA 2015 Rural Business Development Grant. I sent it to you by email, but for the record, I'd just like to submit this. There's good information in here about the promotion of tourism and specifically agritourism in Lewis County. So with that,
Mr. Chair, may I respond to some
Yes,
of those?
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you,
So,
Harry.
Harry, the Board of County Commissioners did take a presence in terms of testifying. I testified for our board regarding this bill, and I said we needed to let the world know that we are more than flooding in Lewis County. And I said the one concern we had in that bill, it had $5 million that would be coming from rental cars, restaurants, and hotel motels. And there was a piece in there that in order to use that money, they had to get private dollars to match that. Then they changed that, and the substitute bill had in there non-state. So that raised some red flags to us. So we talked to John Braun and his legislative assistant, Ruth Peterson, to say that where does our LTAC stand in that? And they said, no, our LTAC would stay intact. So we said, well, we still support the bill. So we are on record of
good,
supporting the bill.
excellent. Okay, good. I didn't realize that you had testified, so
I did.
I just want to make sure that this bill is specifically designed to encourage urban folks, you know, they fly into Seattle, Portland, to come to rural areas. That's where it's happening. And Lewis County, of course,
Yes.
is really where it's happening, so
Yes, it
that's
is.
my plug.
And I did pass out the Discover Lewis County RAC cards and said, you know, we're doing a bang-up job in our state, but it would be very helpful for us to have national and international exposure, and we would look to that group to help us with that. And they said, yes, that was the intent. And I did attend a reception that WTA had on that and talked to a number of people. So we're full for it. Just don't touch our LTAC dollars.
Well, good, and I'm just like, it's just ironic to me that it's stalled in John Braun's carrying the committee. So I don't know that it will get scheduled for a hearing or get out, but I think we've made it as far as we can make it, farther than we've made it in the past, but.
Right. And as you know, the state legislature is heavily looking at education funding, so sometimes other bills that are not education funding kind of put on the back burner right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry.
Thanks, Harry. Appreciate your support on this.
Okay.
All right. I move that we approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 5, resolution number 17-066 through 070.
Second.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Amanda Migliaccio, Financial Analyst Senior in the Auditor's Office, speaking on items number 1 and 2. Item number 1 is Resolution number 17-066. This is the weekly approval of warrants claimed against the county. For the week of February 27th through March 3rd, there were 281 regular warrants. They were numbered 765010 through 765205 and 765377 through 765461. They were in the amount of $553,377.18. There were also payroll and benefit warrants numbered 765206 through 765376, and auto deposit numbers 1 through 483. So it was a total of 654 combined warrants and auto deposits. They were dated March 3rd, and the amount was $3,422,836.83. In addition, you may notice that there's a gap in numbering. That is due to the warrants that we issue for the special purpose districts. Those warrants are approved by their commission, and those numbers were 764903 through 765009. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
All right. Item number 2. is Resolution 17-067. This is the resolution to approve the inventory of capitalized assets. This resolution is to fulfill the requirements set forth by RCW 36.32.201, which requires that the Board of County Commissioners file with the auditor a statement verified by oath showing a full and complete inventory of all capitalized assets for the county for the 12-month period ending December 31st of the preceding year. The preparation of this inventory is based on the verifications performed by the county departments, which have custodial responsibility of those assets. Were there any
And that's a
questions on
huge
that?
job, isn't it?
Yes.
Keeping track of all of this. We're
It is
doing
a long list. Any
Thank you
questions?
for doing that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Wool, Director of Information Technology Services, here to speak to item number 3 on your consent agenda, resolution number 17068. This resolution is to approve the annual renewal of an enterprise agreement with Microsoft Corporation for software related to our network, email, desktop, and other Office suite applications. This discounted software is purchased through a state negotiated contract with Washington State Department of Enterprise Services. Microsoft has assigned Software One to be the administrator of this year's renewal. Any questions?
Thank you, Steve.
Morning, Commissioners. Eric Martin, Public Works Director and County Engineer. Speaking to agenda item number 4, Resolution 17-069, listing of bids and contractors selected for the Lewis County Area 5 Shop Awning Addition project. So this project will add 7 additional bays to our Area 5 shop there in Ethel on Brim Road. And this was needed because we've got a lot of equipment there. We've actually got 2 shops run out of that site. The Area 5 shop that covers that big area in the middle of the county, as well as our special operations, which does vegetation and other work countywide. So we've got a lot of equipment there. So the apparent low bidder there was Prime Cut Construction LLC from Battleground. We also got 3 other bids from JAM Construction, Roglands, and Kaufman. You can see those bids there in the resolution. And this project was funded by the alternate project that we got, alternate project money we got from FEMA for our Davis Creek Bridge that we did not replace from the 2009 flood. And so we had a certain amount of money that we went back to FEMA and proposed alternate projects to, and this was one of those. And so this will use up the rest of that alternate project money that we got from FEMA for that bridge. Any questions?
Thank you.
Schedule-wise, we are going to commence as soon as possible, and the expectation is that we'll have the project completed by sometime in July. So,
Thank you, sir.
And the next resolution, number 17-070, is to appoint Kendra Meek to the Southwest Western Fair Commission. And Kendra is an instructor at Century High School. She's in the Ag section, and she's FFA advisor, very involved in the fair and other realms, so she's a perfect fit to sit on the Fair Commission.
Okay. A motion has been made and seconded to approve 5 resolutions, numbers 17-066 through 17-070. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and start the hearing. Ordinance 1274, public hearing for Ordinance 1274, which would allow rural government services as primary use within the resource land zones. Lee Napier, come on up.
Oh, you mean a microphone, don't you?
Oh, no.
Take it from,
Oh, we need a mic.
yes, Rachel has one.
And while they're getting ready for this, we'll first have a staff report followed by question and answer period. We will then close the question and answer period and open the hearing for formal testimony. You will have, for public testimony, there will be 3 minutes, and you can sign up. You can wish to sign up now. The sheet is up on the podium. And then, if there are no further questions, we'll go ahead and ask for the staff report.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lee Napier, Director of Community Development. Before you today is a public hearing on proposed action to adopt Ordinance 1274. This particular draft ordinance has been presented to the Planning Commission, and they are now referring it to you for final action. And with that, I will turn it over to Fred Evander, our Senior Long Range Planner, to brief the board.
Hi there, Fred Evander, Long Range Planner for the county. Here to introduce Ordinance 1274, which would amend the resource land chapter of the existing Lewis County Code. It's a pretty simple change, and there's a couple of things that are really driving this. So right now there's 19 fire districts in Lewis County. There's 52 fire stations. Of those, 8 are located in resource lands. If one of those fire stations wanted to expand on those resource lands, they would need to submit a special use permit because they're non-conforming uses on the resource lands. Essentially, it means that they're not supposed to be there. Basically, we don't think that's necessary. We think that things like fire stations, things like Wazoo extension facilities, or maybe a sheriff's substation, or things like public workshops are appropriate in the resource land zones. They're consistent with the agricultural, forest, and mineral resource lands, and as a result, we are recommending that these changes be made. Basically, it's a couple of small little changes. We would define rural governmental services. Right now, it's defined within the Growth Management Act as those governmental services historically and typically delivered at an intensity usually found in rural areas. So we think, hey, fire stations have always been in rural areas. They've always served things like agricultural, forest, and mineral resource lands. Then we would allow them within each of those 3 zones. We have gone through the normal steps to get this ordinance to you. We went through a workshop with the Planning Commission on December 13th. We took it to a public hearing on January 24th. We sent it to the Department of Commerce for their 60-day review. And we have also issued a State Environmental Policy Act determination of non-significance. We did that on February 15th, 2017. There were no comments that we have received on that. Are there any questions?
Not yet.
Okay.
I actually do have a question, and this is specifically targeting fire stations, is that, or is this?
Some other
This is one of the many, because you're gonna have, someone's gonna have to help me out here, I know if it's Edna, but I know that we had a similar situation when the Randall fire, when the fire department or the building was built, is that?
Yeah, well,
That in the same scope here?
it's a great question. It's a great question. So one of the things one of the reasons that we think that this makes a lot of sense is we've got a number of what you call LAMRDs out there, which is a limited area of more intense rural development. Now these LAMRDs, a lot of times they're very small. Like the Cinnabar LAMRD is essentially like 3 parcels. One of those contains a fire station. If that fire station were to ever burn down or something like that, or some disaster befell that fire station and they wanted to rebuild directly across the street, they could not, because it would not be an allowed use within that agricultural resource zone that is directly across the street. This would get rid of stuff like that. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
And this will be helpful for Onalaska, right? The Onalaska Fire Station 1? Isn't there some, okay, go ahead.
If we're talking about the same facility, that's already been permitted, so it's...
That's beyond, okay.
Okay, are there any other questions? Commissioner Jackson? Okay. Now we're going to open the question and answer period for public to ask questions. Colonel Averill?
I had a question, I'll testify.
Okay. Okay, are there any more questions? Okay. Can you come up, Harry?
Now, Jeffrey, you gotta sign this thing.
I didn't know I had a question until I saw it, but my name is Harry Bagwanden, and I'm from Onalaska, and I just had a quick question. The 5 to 8 future projects, could you expand on that? And is that like over the history of Lewis County, or
Yeah, you
next
know,
year,
it
or
was,
what?
we sort of have to do, as part of the state environmental policy, the checklist, we sort of need to make a guess as to how many of these things we might see in the future. And really, we don't, you know, because it's trying to ascertain the impact on things like agricultural resource lands or forest resource lands. Really, we don't see that there's going to be a whole lot of these things. We just don't think that that many uses will fit within the definition of rural governmental services. Also, we don't think fire stations, because we're going to do this, are going to go build new fire stations in a lot of agricultural resource lands. So it was just it was a guess, let's say. Yeah.
Lee, could you, and I'll kind of, you can fill in the blanks here, you and Fred. If I know this probably came up, or part of it was because the Mossy Rock Fire District just recently passed a bond to build a new station, and it was in downtown Mossy Rock, and there was a gentleman, Galen Oss, donated land outside the city limits, right outside the city limits. So I know that there's been a lot of back and forth, and I know the fire district has been contacting everyone. So I don't know if this is directly related to that, but it sounds like to me like it probably is part of it. Is that a fair?
I'll answer that question. Over the past year, as Fred has been working on the update to our comp plan, we've also been working with a lot of jurisdictions related to capital facilities, and so we are assessing whether or not capital facilities are needed, of a rural governmental service nature, are needed in the resource land. So it focuses in on that effort. Yes, Mossy Rock and other fire departments, as well as Public Works, have identified projects that we have in the future, and so we are looking at the permitting of those, as well as the consistency with our development regulations.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any more questions?
I do have a question now, Ron Averill from Centralia. I was talking to civil deputy, and I'll see if you give me the same answer he did.
Oh.
It's a test. You know, you said, and what prompted me to ask the question is when you talk about the comp plan, because I understand this is just an ordinance change, but it does affect the comp plan and Growth Management Act. So does that mean that we're going to have to submit this in the January change that is coming up in January this year?
This is related to a change in Lewis County Code, and that has already been submitted to Commerce for their review, and we have their approval.
Okay, so they did come back, because you said you didn't get any answer, so they came back and gave approval.
I believe Fred was talking about comments through the SEPA review.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any more questions? Okay, at this time, we're going to close the question and answer period. And now, would you like to have your opening comments incorporated into the record?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, now we're going to open the hearing for public testimony, and we have some names up there, I believe. Colonel.
Again, Ron Aver from the Centralia area. And Harry said that he's frightened to come up again. He doesn't want to come up again.
Well, you still have you have a chance to change your mind.
You know, I was early on in the process on the Growth Management Act planning for Lewis County. I was part of the original advisory group that started back in the early 90s and came through. And as you know, there have been any number of areas where we've had problems with the Growth Management Act. And you know, among those is this issue of what can go out into the rural areas. As you know, the Farm Bureau has talked to you a number of times about restrictions on agricultural lands of commercial significance and the stupidity of it. From our perspective, when we're dealing with mostly smaller farms that do not make a living, and therefore the farmers are out there somewhere else, either doing some other business on their property or getting something from somewhere else. But this is just to highlight this. Right now in the legislature, and you probably have come across this with your legislative committee and the commissioner fund, but is to allow schools to be out in the rural area, because the Growth Management Act actually prevents that right now. So this is a serious problem, and if you had answered the other way, I would have said go for it, because we've got to put them to the test in these areas, and this is a real necessity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Harry?
Actually, that was a mistake.
Okay.
You could write my name on that.
Okay. Okay. If there's no more names here, so at this time, we're going to close the hearing for public testimony. And if there's any discussion?
No?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance number 1274, which would allow rural government services as a primary use within resource land zones.
Second?
Okay, a motion is made and second for ordinance 1274, which would allow rural government services as primary use within the resource land zones. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred Lee.
Okay, now on number 7, the vacation number 17002, public hearing for proposed vacation of unmaintained A. Woods Road, number 795, which is located in Centralia. We'll first have a staff report, followed by a question and answer period. We'll then close the question and answer period and open the hearing for formal testimony. If anyone would like to sign up, they may do so at any time, and you will be allowed 3 minutes. And at this time, we will ask for the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioners. Eric Martin, Public Works Director and County Engineer. I'm going to turn this over to Larry here in just a minute. He's got most of the report, but just wanted to let you know that I'm available for questions. We are talking about the order of vacation 17-002, the proposed vacation of the unmaintained A. Wood Road, number 795.
Larry Unzelman, Real Estate Services Manager with Public Works. The county did receive a request for the vacation of the A. Wood Road, and this request was signed by all of the owners that abut the road and use it for, or could potentially use it for access. This is typical in our road vacations, that we normally don't move forward on these until we have a consensus of all the abutting property owners. This A. Wood Road is located just off Seminary Hill Road, east of Centralia. RCW 36.87 allows for vacation of a county road that is found useless to the needs of the county, pending a report of the county engineer. On November 21st of 2016, this board passed Resolution 16-313 that declared their intention to proceed to determine whether or not the A Wood Road should be vacated and abandoned, and then ordered and directed the county engineer to make an examination of the road. On February 1st of 2017, the report of the county engineer on the matter of the proposed vacation of the A Wood Road was filed with the board. The report states generally as follows: that the unmaintained A Wood Road 795 was deeded to the county in May of 1933 and was established a county road in February 1935 at a width of 60 feet. There have been no prior vacations of this road. The unmaintained road is adjoined by 3 property owners, all who have requested the vacation. The property owner who abuts the north end and east side of the right-of-way is the only property owner that is currently using it for access, and they've been granted an easement to use the road by the other owners. Utility companies known to service the area have been contacted, and there are no utilities presently located on the road. And the right-of-way does not abut a body of water, and it's found to be unnecessary as part of the county road system. The administration fees have been paid, as well as deposits for publication. And per Lewis County Code 12.15.040, no further compensation is required by those property owners. The county engineer states in his report that the right-of-way should be vacated for the reason the public will be benefited by the vacation, and it will return the property to the tax rolls. The report and related materials were reviewed by the board and found appropriate for further proceedings. On February 6, 2017, this date was fixed for the date for hearing on this matter, and notice was thereafter published and posted as required by law. The order of vacation before you generally states as follows: that the A Wood Road 795, established February 14, 1935, in the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 11, Township 14 North, Range 2 West, is not a public necessity and orders its vacation. So approval of this order of vacation today would find the road to be vacated.
I have a question for you. So is David Carr going to be the owner of this road, or is it going to be Mankey Timber Company or Jeffrey Wallace? How does that, I don't know how that works, so.
Yeah, the right-of-way, when it's vacated, generally goes back to the property that it came out of when it was established. In this case, back in 1935, and it came out of the property that's now owned by David Carr. So the right-of-way would revert to Mr. Carr. The Mankey Timber Company actually owns the property on the east side of the road. Carr is on the west side of the road. Mankey is on the east, and Mankey is also at the end of the road. So Mankey is the recipient of the easement that I referred to earlier. So they'll continue to have rights to use the road. The third property owner, excuse me, his access is actually coming off of Seminary Hill Road, and he doesn't currently use that road that right-of-way for access.
Okay, and I think I have brought this up on several occasions. I think that we're all very conscientious about, and I'm sure that probably people have abused this road over the years by putting things they shouldn't have, but I'm sure there's been many people that have used it for going back, and I don't know where the city limits is, if it's parameters, or if they're allowed to hunt back there, but I always hear that from people, well, here's just another public road that the county owns that we're no longer we're gonna allow, it's gonna turn over to a property owner, and we're not gonna access for, to go back and recreate and hunt and do all the things. So I don't know, I haven't heard any comments, neither nay or yay, and I see that Mankey Timber Company owns the road around the frontage along with the back parcel too, so I don't know if it's been an issue or not. I guess that's the only thing, that's the only question that I raise. I hate to see our public being closed off from lands that people used to go out and enjoy and hunt and fish and do all the other things, so.
And I believe I understand your statement there, and I guess my response to that would be that there's no public lands that adjoin this right away, and if if they did receive permission to use the Mankey property, the Mankey has all the access rights that they could grant along with that permission to use it the same as could be used currently.
I'd like to make a comment on that too. Certainly in the future, if we run into situations where we're asked to look at vacation of a road, and that road then would provide some level of access to some public lands, we'd certainly want to stop and see how that would function after the vacation, and obviously discuss it with this board to see if that's something that we wanted to pursue or not. So in those cases where we are looking or may look in the future at any vacation or any other action that might reduce access to public lands, we certainly want to have that discussion and look at that very closely with you guys. So.
Yeah, and I don't know what Mankey Timber Company, if it allows people on their property. I know Weyerhaeuser's has shut the gates, so that's always a kind of a lightning rod too, where, so I guess, so I'm not sure on that. Like I say, I know that we have asked this question and we've been through the process, and I have not heard no one has come to me specifically and talked about the limitations on this.
Yeah, it should, and it really shouldn't change anything. If folks had the right to use Mankey's land for any use before this, that easement will still exist, and they will still have the same rights they had, assuming they have agreements with Mankey to do so, that they had before this vacation. So this really shouldn't affect any relationship between anyone from the public and Mankey Timber as far as use of their land. So
I'm assuming they're probably going to put a gate up there, though. Who knows, right?
yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know.
Okay, that's all I have.
One other,
Okay.
excuse me, just one additional comment is that we've got that RCW out there that prohibits us from vacating any, excuse me, any right-of-way that abuts a body of water. And I think, I think maybe the intent of that was to maybe preserve things like maybe that you're talking about. And we get numerous vacation requests, many of which we can't fulfill. We can't move forward with them because of that. There'll be a stream crossing or something along the right-of-way that prevents us from doing that. And in that case, then the access is preserved for the public.
Any other questions? Okay. At this time, we're going to open the question and answer period for public to ask questions. Do we have anyone? Public comment. Okay. At this time, we'll go ahead and close the question and answer period. And would you like to have your comments incorporated into the hearing?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to open hearing for public testimony. And see if we have names up there. And if there are any others would like to sign up, they're more than welcome. None? No. Okay. Okay, at this time then we're going to close the hearing for public testimony.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve order of vacation number 17-002, which would be the vacation of unmaintained Awood Road number 795, which is located in Centralia.
Second.
Okay. A
That's
motion
really-
has been made and second to approve vacation order number 17-002 for the proposed vacation of unmaintained Woods Road 795, which is in Centralia. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed.
Seeing no further business on our agenda, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
A motion is made and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
You are invited to immerse yourself in the beauty of nature in all four corners of Lewis County, Washington. From our fields to your table, farms in the west share their bounty. Limitless landscapes, forests and mountains beg to be explored in the east. Fish our many rivers and lakes in the south, and discover where history and culture intersect in our twin cities. Explore it all by visiting our Facebook page and plan your next getaway at discoverlewiscounty.com. Culture, history, and adventure all come alive when you discover Lewis County.